And we're live. Okay. Hello, crypto fellow travelers. This is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny. Sometimes Colorado. Good to see you. Decided to mix things up a little bit, schedule one in advance as opposed to doing it impromptu, and decided to also do it with a nice background. I like being outside in the kind of the commons area of the office from time to time. Hope everybody can hear me all right. Hope everybody can see me. Okay. It's been a long month already, and it's only the 7th, Sunday. I often work 5-6 days a week, more than 12 hours, 14 hours a day. But the last few months in particular have been quite difficult because there's just so many things that are moving on. As many of you know, Alonzo is approaching, and Alonzo's the big one. You know, there was Shelley was the big one as well. That was the defining characteristic of 2020. And the defining release of 2021 will be Alonzo, principally because this is the first time in the project history where we have full programmability. So suddenly you go from a collection of preset behaviors and activities, which although are quite useful, I mean, multi-asset, come on, that's nice, to metadata and these types of things. Now we're moving to a situation where you have full smart contracts. Holy moly. And we term the smart contract strategy for Cardano. Is the audio on? Everybody can hear me? Believe so. Hope so. Okay. So we termed the smart contract strategy for Cardano to be the ocean, the island, and the pond. And basically the concept there is that the pond is everything Ethereum did. The island is what we'd like to accomplish with Plutus and Marlowe and these domain-specific languages we've been constructing. And the island and the ocean, the island is all that stuff. And the ocean is all of the programming languages, the totality of development. There's over 20 million people write code for a living across the world. The vast majority of them do not write smart contract code. So it'd be nice to open up the world to them and bring them in. So when we started Cardano a long, long time ago, it was a big interest of ours to find a strategy, a path where we could cover the things that we felt were necessary for Fortune 500 companies in high assurance scenarios, be backward compatible, but then at the same time also be able to bring new people in, like JavaScript developers and Java developers and C# developers and so forth, because they are the majority of the world. We have made massive progress on that. And Alonzo is really where that wakes up. It brings Plutus and Marlowe support to the system, and it puts us in a position where it's quite straightforward for us to roll out the dev nets and get them wired onto Cardano and basically be in a beautiful position where you can write Ethereum code. So if you have bytecode or Solidity, use that whole development ecosystem, just move over and it's better, faster, cheaper. You'll be able to write code in the languages you want to, and you'll be able to write code in the new paradigm, the Plutus paradigm, and enjoy that along with native multi-asset and all these other cool features and functionality. So it's been a long road, and these next few months are pivotal ones. So towards the end of the month, we're probably going to announce the Plutus Pioneers program. And what that's about is basically identifying developers in our community who want to go through some special hands-on training to learn how to write Plutus code and really get excited about it. So likely it'll be a 4 to 6 week program for people who are selected. It'll run throughout April and a little bit into May. And Lars will teach it, and it'll be very intensive. And our hope is to train up 500 to 1,000 community members and get them fired up for learning how to run Plutus code, Marlowe code, and becoming kind of domain experts in the things that we do. So we'll, at the Cardano 360 episode at the end of the month, announce that, along with all the details and how to sign up if you're interested and how to apply. Lars is very, very smart and very fun to work with, but he is a German mathematician, so it's going to be quite rigorous. So beware and good luck on the challenge in that respect. You know, there's also a lot of cool things we're going to announce with Alpha Frontier. I'm going to reshoot the ocean, the island, and the pond video. I call it the part 2, where I kind of add in the missing pieces. And we'll also talk around the acidic concept. And that stands for developer acquisition, collaboration, incentives, application deployment, application interaction, and application curation. So both how do we get it out there and get people playing with it, to the how do we get it built and how do we get it paid for type of deal inside developers. So All that's going to be discussed in detail this month, and a lot of other cool things. Now, the subject of birds. Many of you like birds and birds and birds and birds. There are definitely a lot of birds in the air, and some of the ones that I wanted to land in February have gotten some headwinds, and obviously we're here in March and we're still waiting for them. And therein lies the frustration of when you run a large project with many agents and actors. Sometimes things happen that slow things down. And it is what it is. Over the long term, they don't particularly matter. When the iPhone came out, didn't have 3G or an app store. Do you remember it that way? No. And did it matter? No. So patience does matter. And sometimes things take a little bit longer. And I used to get deeply frustrated and angry about it. And I'd say, why did you lie to me? Or why did this happen? Or, you promised at this date, or this was signed. Why are we now going back here? But, it doesn't matter if it takes an extra week or an extra month or something like that. What matters is the progress that's made, and the momentum is in one particular direction. So I fully expect the things that we expected in February to be in March. And if not March, in April. But I think we have a good shot for March. So be a little bit more patient. And if you're not okay, why are you in crypto? It takes a long time to change the world. And we're not going to change it day by day, month by month. And I could not care less if you're in it for the money. If you are, this isn't your AMA and this isn't your guy. Go talk to somebody else. All the things we do systematically, methodically, and we do with a lot of soul and heart. And we care a lot. We wear our passion on our sleeves. That's who we are as a community. And the other thing, the defining characteristic about this community is that there are it's not a Democrat or Republican or a left wing and a right wing or a conservative and liberal type of view. It's freedom versus authoritarianism. One of the things that unifies many of the core people in our ecosystem is the fact that we do recognize the world left to its own devices. There will be people floating around who think that they should run your life and be in charge of it from cradle to grave for your good and for the good of society. The point of cryptocurrencies and the point of blockchain technology is saying maybe that's a bad philosophy. And every time we try to do it, it doesn't work out so well for any of us. So let's stop doing that where and when we can. That is really, if I could say, the philosophical core of what I started and where we're at as an ecosystem. I think the most important point, the most important thing. And as I look to legacy and I look to, well, where are we going over the next 5 years? We have been working harder than ever at trying to build a real blockchain government. We're not all crypto anarchists here. In fact, I think that philosophy is a road to nowhere because we've seen it with Bitcoin. We're actively working on the DCF. We're working with a major consultancy on it. We're trying to put a coalition of more than 30 companies together. I'm in negotiations to set up 10 research labs. I think probably on my side this year, we'll spend an additional $30 million of R&D money. And of course, when the time comes to announce that and who are the partners and the agenda and so forth, that's just on our side, the IOG side. And when you look at what we can do with you and Catalyst and where this can go, I imagine there's going to be great amplification there. So we're super excited about that. But what this is really all about in terms of legacy and these things is a complete fundamental change of people's relationship with the services that run their lives. All the things in your life, the credit cards in your pocket, the identity in your pocket, the driver's license, the passport, all of these things are given to you by social structures, conventions, and contracts you probably did not negotiate and had nothing to do with. Did you decide the credit score that dominates your life? Did you decide who gets an identity and who doesn't get an identity? Who gets a passport? Who doesn't get a passport? Whose passport gets revoked? Did you decide how the banking system works? No, but you're a victim of it or beneficiary of it or both. The point of crypto is, for the first time in your lives, you actually get to opt into something you decided and agreed to, a new social contract. That's not about money. It's about how you live, and it's about the quality of the money. It wasn't too long ago that the minimum wage in the United States was 6 silver quarters. 6 silver quarters, about $1.50. The meltdown value of those quarters is about $15. Went from $1.50 to $15. We're talking about a higher minimum wage. Why? Because the money's lost its value for not fault of your own, not my fault, but from the people at the top. And they continue printing trillions and trillions of dollars. They continue following policies that are so devastating and damaging to society, and they don't care. I like peace. I like living in a country that gets along with everybody. Now, my country's bombing Syria again. I guess that's a good idea, according to the people in charge. Another war in the Middle East. We're here again. I'd like to believe that a legacy can be that we build a system that doesn't do this to people, that builds sound money, that promotes peace and understanding and goodwill amongst all people. But to get there, we have to build a government that's better than the one we inherited, better social contracts, and we have to work on ourselves. We have to be worthy of self-governance. We have to have a long time horizon. We have to think deep. We have to look deep into the future. You know, I was recently interviewed and I said, one of the economic solutions to the myopia that we all face is that we incentivize the wrong things as a society. I said, why don't we take a step back and instead of having a single currency, why don't we have two currencies? Today money and money 2140. How about that? So you earn today money just like you earn today money. Go to your job, do your work. Okay, great. And let's say that you can buy most things with today money, like food and water and so forth. But let's say you want to get a car, or let's say that you want to get a house or something. Let's say those have to be priced and not in today money, but in 2140 money. And how do you earn that? Let's imagine there's a copy of yourself who doesn't live today, but lives in 2140. And the only way that you can make 2140 money, the money of the future, is by making that person's life better. A person you'll never meet, and you'll be long dead by the time they're born. So what does that mean? You have to think about what the world needs to look like in 2150 and how to make that world better. And imagine a marketplace forming around for that. We'd have a lot of environmental policy. We'd care a lot about sustainability because we can't burn out the world. By the time it gets to 2140, it would be a dystopia. We'd care a lot about the future. And why? Because we're self-motivated and we'd like to spend 2140 money. That's the point of liberating yourself from the social structures and institutions and thinking patterns of the past. And the point of our entire industry. It's not to venerate a leader. It's not to believe that some person up on the mountaintop will deliver you and make you rich and make your life wonderful. The future is hard. It's ill-defined. It's filled with demagogues and tyrants and extremists and people soothsaying you solutions. And the reality is that the future only gets better if each and every one of us takes some custodial care and cleans it up together and thinks to 2140. And how do we make life better for that copy of ourselves that lives in the distant future? The point of cryptocurrencies and blockchain is for the first time in human history, this is not an academic exercise, and it's not one that requires permission. We're just going to go do it. So the coming weeks and months are going to be pretty crazy. Alonzo is going to be a lot of fun. There are a lot of announcements in the queue, and we'll get to them when the time comes. And sometimes they take a little later, but they're no less meaningful. And in the meantime, there's a lot of fun things we get to do together. For example, these AMAs, and I get to your questions. Second, we have our interview series. And I just started it, The People of IOG, where we had Dr. M. And I will be interviewing Duncan Coots and Phil Wadler and Dan Friedman and many other people within my company. And Tamara Hassan is going to start interviewing people as well, because if I was doing it at a rate of one a week, it would take me 6 years to get through the existing set of people. So we need a tag team and we need to get some volume there. I'd like you to know each and every person who works with me and for me. They're amazing, and they deserve their time in the spotlight too. And of course, I'd like to interact with all of you. So as this is an AMA, let us get to your questions, huh?